Welcome, my name is Balazs and we have here two beautiful phones, the Samsung Galaxy S8 on the right side in Orchid Grey, and then we have a Mystic White LG G6, which are both beautiful, both awesome, and both definitely worth a review video or comparison video, so let's dig in. So we have here two beautiful phones which have exactly almost the same thickness with 8mm and 7.9 for Samsung, so it's a little bit thinner. Both have wireless charging integrated in the US, so that's quite awesome. Both are waterproof also, and both have Gorilla Glass 5 on the back, so they are protected against scratches and maybe even against breaking. But obviously the front, we don't know exactly which kind of glass they're using, but both are quite rugged, and as I mentioned, both have a beautiful design when it comes to not only the thickness, but when it comes to everyday use, as I will mention in a minute, which I like better. So on the bottom we have on both USB Type-C with the 3.1 speed, so that's quite nice. Speakers, microphones, headset, plugs obviously available on both SIM card reader and micro SD card reader on different spots, but again both have that. The LG phone comes only with 32 gigs internal memory, but you pay $200 right now less for the G6 than for the S8, which is quite a big price difference, even though the specs are pretty similar. We have on both 4 gigs of RAM, we have 12 megapixel camera here and a 30 megapixel camera here by LG and a 12 megapixel camera here by Samsung, but there is a secondary camera from LG, so we can shoot nice wide angle photos and videos even in 4K. So both have a fingerprint reader, but it's also an on and off switch for the LG phone. There is no side button to turn it on and off, but you actually don't even need it because you can just double tap to wake up the phone, which never works with Samsung. You have a force touch button though on the bottom, which is new. So what else is there to tell about the phones? Waterproof, as I mentioned, but I won't demonstrate that right now because I have separate videos for that. But what I will demonstrate is which unlocks faster with the fingerprint reader, because that's the fastest way to unlock still both phones. The face reading apps, you could say, or unlocking does not really work that great for me, but it's available on both. So let's do this and let's see. Yes, we are in both phones really quickly, but you have to really position your fingers nicely, and it's a little bit hard to actually reach that even on the S8 the fingerprint reader. If you ask me, if you don't use a case for the S8, it's a little bit hard to reach. As you can see, I can barely get my finger there with holding the phone the way I think a normal person would hold a phone, like this, not like that, because that is just too slippery of a phone, the S8, to hold it a different way. So as you can see, we have quite a lot of apps installed. Let's start off first with benchmarks, but I won't run the benchmark. I will just show you that, whoops, the Samsung Galaxy S8 is definitely a fast little fella, not only in gaming but also in all other categories. Even in the RAM it's faster than the LG G6. And now you are wondering probably why the displays look so different, why is it so greenish, why this is so reddish. Well, both are on 50% of brightness. I tried to really adjust both to the same without auto brightness settings, yeah, that's just the different display technologies. We have AMOLED on the right side for the S8 and IPS for the LG G6, but both have this nice rounded display edges which not only look good but also definitely feel good in everyday apps. And actually the S8 has a bigger screen with 5.8 inches compared to 5.7 inches only on the LG. So that's why we also have a high resolution for the Samsung phone by 80 pixels in height. That's not too much, but for some games, let's start for example Asphalt 8, or actually not start because it was running in the background, and that's not a really comparison if there's apps running in the background, so let's clear all, and let's start Asphalt 8 here on both phones at the same time. So meanwhile, on the front we have an 8 megapixel camera on one device, and on the other just a 5 megapixel camera, and actually, I will definitely compare the cameras for you, and I don't want any ads, leave me alone. So, I think the Samsung started a little bit quicker, but we will also start the race and show you guys that both devices are starting pretty quickly, but who will be the winner? So up until now, of course, it seems kind of similar, but as we saw in the benchmark, the Samsung is definitely a little bit faster when it comes to loading times and just the GPU. So both premium smartphones, but here we can definitely start crashing into walls earlier than on the LG, as you can see, but both have stunning displays and look quite beautiful, and both have Android buttons now not on the screen anymore, so we have to slide up and press the middle button, and then we are getting right away back out. If you want to see more benchmarks, I have just one more by Geekbench, where we can go here to the history and show you that definitely Samsung is faster in multi-core and in single-core calculations. Now keep in mind, this is the Exynos version because I'm in Europe, the 8895, and while here we have a Snapdragon processor inside, which is last year's flagship. This year's A35 is only the Samsung S8 phones in the US, otherwise we have the in-house Exynos processor for some reason. Let's go to gallery and let's check out some pictures I took with both of the same flowers and the same garden. Since we have, as I mentioned here, dual lens system, we can choose to shoot in wide angle or in not wide angle. So I shot these two pictures in a not wide angle mode for the LG. You don't have a wide angle mode for Samsung, and as you can see, there's definitely more in the picture on the Samsung phone than on the LG, but then you can switch to wide angle, and then you will have also the tree inside the picture and even more in the background, as you can see. So this is not zoomed in, this would be zooming in. This is zoomed out on the Samsung, and now keep in mind that the displays are again different, but still the Samsung looks nicer in the picture when it comes to colors. It's just more vibrant, more lifelike. Yeah, it just looks better. You don't need any filters like you would do on an LG, but I definitely like the wide angle better, and yeah, I'm not that big of a fan of post-production, so I would definitely like a compromise between these colors on this wide angle camera would be nice. So LG, you still have to work on that, but if you go a little bit closer, for example, to this nice little flower, try to shoot also from the same spot. If you go a little bit closer, like this, you will see that both look quite nice, but there's definitely more details on the LG than on the Samsung. At least that's what I see, that you can see more around the flower also, and if you go even closer in the middle, then there is definitely more and crisper details on the LG phone than on the Samsung phone, and that's probably not due to the 1 megapixel difference there. So what else is there to tell? Well, my everyday use is there to tell probably, because, come on LG, why can't I get the, oh, here we go. So, the LG has a bigger battery, 3300 milliamp, and that definitely is something I can feel in really everyday scenarios. That I have definitely half an hour, maybe even an hour more of the battery in the LG G6, but both barely last me through the day, so they are not perfect daily drivers if you don't want to use an external battery all day with you. But otherwise, two really quick phones if you just have a lot of money and who need the fastest and best phone right now. Get the S8, has everything built in, wireless charging, it's waterproof. LG G6 has that also, but the camera and the display are not there yet, sadly, so I will wait for the V30 or I don't know, the next V series, and that's always the opponent to the Note series of Samsung. Maybe they will get a better display there, but otherwise, when it comes to handling, the battery, I just love the LG, so I will probably stick with the G6, definitely also because the price for $600 is really quite nice compared to the 900 or 800 bucks for an S8, which is just too much. So thank you for tuning in, don't forget to subscribe. My name is Balazs, and this was the comparison between the LG G6 and the Samsung Galaxy S8 here on UHD Tech.